Our Lukhanyo Calata standing by.
Natasha, thank you very much. As promised, we are now standing by. We have been joined by the Premier of, or at least the Chairperson of the ANC in the Free State, Mr. Ace Magashule, who joins us now. Sir, thank you very much and good afternoon.
Afternoon, sir.
Just very briefly, sir, your take on the first 3 days of the conference?
I think wonderful. We are relaxed. We are talking amongst ourselves as delegates. I can see that the unity of the movement is coming back. We are allowing divergent views. We are engaging. This is the festival of ideas. We are not, because we are moving forward to the national conference, it's not that we'll resolve everything today. We'll move on, and as we move on, I think as provinces, as delegates, as branches, we are actually saying the unity of the movement, particularly during this time, is very, very important. And we as leaders, we should not just talk, we should walk the talk. I think that's the message coming from delegates as we engage even in commissions. So it's wonderful because we are differing, but we are engaging, we are respecting one another. And I think the flow is moving on.
Do you get the sense that what's taking place inside is trying to improve in the situation that was pointed out by the diagnostic report by the Secretary General? Issues of a decline in ideological outlook, issues of a decline in ethics and values of traditions of the ANC. Do you get the sense that things are improving in there? They're moving forward?
Well, it's a wake-up call for the ANC. Our base cannot just be narrowed because of our individual interest. The interest of the society and the membership as a whole is very, very important. And I think it's time for us. And I think, I have visited, I've been to 3 commissions, and I think the spirit of engagement is there. So I think the unity, the rebuilding of the African National Congress is definitely going to take place. And I hope we should just not talk. We should walk the talk, because out there people will want to see what is it that we are going to do.
The ANC has been in power nationally for 23 years now. Policy has never really been an issue for it. Implementation, however, has been. How does this policy, policy conference, what do you need to put in place to make sure that you guys walk the talk, as you say?
Well, that's what President has said. Come with solutions. Don't discuss forever. Why are we failing? I was saying in one of the commissions, we have gone to countries where they implement their resolutions, whether it's Cuba, whether it's China. The entire national executive has gone there, even the then leadership, to learn how many countries implement their resolutions. A small country in Africa like Rwanda, when they've taken decisions, they focus on 3 things: theory, practice, and action. So it is for us now to make sure that we learn from what we have failed to do. And I think we have failed to implement our policies, the best policies, I think, in the world. But we are failing to implement them. I think out of this, we are emphasizing one thing in all commissions: can we please implement our resolutions?
Today, it was essentially the start of those commissions. What, other than the issue of implementation, for the province of the Free State, what are the 3, or let's say 2 issues that these commissions must discuss that, according to the Free State, will help improve the lives of the people?
Well, students have been complaining about fees at tertiary level. And I think in the Freedom Charter, that's what we have said. In our resolutions, we have said free education for the poor and the working class. We want to see NHI. We have talked about it. But one of the things we have actually said is that South Africa, where we come from apartheid times, was skewed. There was unequal development throughout South Africa. The ANC cannot come in, perpetuate that unequal development. The ANC cannot focus, and its government, and government of the people of South Africa, cannot focus on the urban centers. Whether when you talk ICT, whether when you talk wealth creation, whether when you talk anything, you concentrate on the Gauteng, you concentrate on KwaZulu-Natal, excluding the rural areas, you concentrate on the Western Cape. We are saying that approach is problematic. Central government, the national government, is there to ensure that there is equal development in South Africa. And that's why we are saying we are South Africans. Provinces don't matter that much because they are provinces, we can blame them. That's the creation of apartheid in the past. They have no capacity. And that's why some of us argue that you don't really need provinces, you need national government so that we have one country. Otherwise, national has the tendency to forget and think that provinces do have capacity. There are a lot of provinces with no capacity, and I think we are blamed from time to time because everything happens in these urban centers.
Also, sir, just very briefly, we must, I think it would be remiss of us not to touch on the issue of corruption that has been dogging the ANC in the lead up to this conference. Just your take on we've heard recently Lindiwe Sisulu saying that ministers, the cabinet ministers, ANC members that are linked or that are found to be associated in some way or the other with the Gupta emails, those must be expelled from the ANC. Your take on that?
Well, where there is real corruption, I think there should be action. But we should be careful. You remember in 1994, there were allegations of corruption against me in particular. And the then Premier set up a commission of inquiry to investigate alleged corruption. And there was nothing. Recently in the province, there was an allegation of corruption against one of the MECs. The matter went to court. MEC Leeto was cleared. Nobody then said perceptions. We need to act. And when the courts of law have pronounced themselves, because that's what we have actually said. Otherwise, when there is infighting, there are always allegations of corruption. But I'm saying where there is real corruption, I think society expects us to act. And I don't think corruption should only be in terms of leadership, in terms of ANC members. It must be in terms of society. There shouldn't be, where there is corruption, you call it collusion, because it's white-collar crime. Corruption should be corruption, whether it's about the rich, the poor, color, because sometimes when it's big monopoly capital or big monopoly companies, we then say, well, let's solve this matter. It's collusion. Let them actually train people. Let them do this. This is what we have done with the cartel in terms of construction industry.
Right. You mentioned a little bit earlier on that when there were allegations of corruption against you, there was an investigation set up. So will you set up an investigation into these allegations that the province, or at least a department in the province, had helped pay for the lavish Gupta wedding?
Well, I don't believe that's the fact. Let's see if the National Judicial Commission comes into place. I think everybody must go there. We must all be called there, and then we'll give facts where necessary. And when it comes out that somebody has done any corruption, I think action must be taken.
All right. So, and then let's just to return, obviously, to the policy conference. The decisions that are not taken here, you've spoken a little bit about implementation. What happens to the ANC should the decisions that are taken here, ratified at the elective conference, are then not followed through and not implemented?
Well, I visited a country as small as Rwanda. If you don't implement resolutions, you can go to China, you can go to Cuba, I'm sure you can go even to Europe. If a party says, we give you 5 years to implement this resolution, and you don't implement them, there should be consequences. In Rwanda, they have a quarterly review. They evaluate quarterly. This is what the party must do. The party must ensure that every 6 months, every 3 months, these resolutions have been implemented. For instance, at the National Lekgotla in January this year, 2017, the National Executive Committee, Lekgotla, with the entire alliance partners and people invited there, we took a resolution that the post office must be licensed by July 2017. It is not licensed. So what the party is supposed to be, if the party is at the center, It means if you are a minister, you are supposed to be called, if you are premier, and ask why have you failed to implement this resolution. You might actually give valid reasons, but if the reasons are not valid, there should be consequences. Why should you still be there when the party has actually given you a mandate? And I don't think the party will just say, implement this. We sit down, we look at, is it possible? Is it practical? Will it be implementable? If the answer is yes, why am I not implementing it? It means there is something which is not right.
All right. And then let's talk a little bit, if we can look forward to the next 3 days, the decisions that are likely to come from here, going into the elective conference. We've heard many people here saying that the issue of slate politics, the ANC must deal with and must do away with it. Otherwise, there may not be a victory for the ANC in 2019. Is that a view that you share?
Yeah, that's the view I share. As I say, I think during the year of Oliver Tambo, we should be reminded that it's not about us. Leaders come and go. We are going to leave this movement to the generations to come. And if we want the ANC to continue governing South Africa, I think it is very important for us to make sure that we as leaders play our role. From my province, I think we will play a role which is unifying. We differ with other people, we differ with other provinces. We must sit down and engage. And we have been differing as the ANC. We have not agreed on everything. And where we differ, if we have to go and vote, we'll vote. But I think we have played our role even in Polokwane, even in Mangaung, as chairpersons and secretaries of provinces, and we have stabilized the movement. It's only after leadership has been elected, I don't know what happens to leadership elected, where you think that you have now elected men and women who must take our organization forward. So maybe it is this money politics, material condition. Karl Marx says that material conditions determines the pace and tempo of the revolution moving forward. Maybe it is some of those factors, but let it not change the character of the ANC.
All right.
Unity is very important.
All right. So I think that's a perfect place to stop it. Thank you very much for joining us. That was, of course, the Premier, the chairperson of the ANC in the Free State, Ace Magashule, talking to us about his province's expectations from this policy conference of the ANC in Nasrec. For the time being, it's over to you in studio, Natasha.